All right. So the concept of this is rather long, but I've only got about 5 minutes on my phone. My phone's memory. So if people are wondering why my phone cuts off a lot, it's because I only have a certain amount of memory on the video on my phone, and it cuts off when I get to a certain point. Usually it's about 10 minutes. Earlier I had 14 minutes, and then for some reason now I only have 5 minutes. So it varies, it comes and goes. So you're gonna have to deal with it, and I just ate up 30 seconds explaining that. Anyway, for those of you who do watch, like I said, for those of you who do watch my videos and you wonder why they cut off, that's why. So the concept that I want to talk about today, although I have no time to do it, 5 minutes isn't enough. I probably need at least 2 hours to talk about this. Is the concept of how Satan uses women to not only harm society, but to harm particularly the family unit, and particularly males as the head of the family unit. Now, if you listen to my videos, you'll know that I've got a problem with hypergamy, which is female nature, and I myself have never really come to terms with that, with hypergamy. But I will say, in the context of marriage and in the context of godly love. Now, people who really know the Bible and people who really know the Christian walk, so from the biblical standpoint, they know that there's not going to be any marriage in the new heaven and new earth, meaning when God comes back, and when this current earth, which is evil by design and by practice, is dethroned, and God's plan comes to fruition, and he comes back, there's going to be no marriage. There's going to be no male female type of shit. That's in the Bible. So if you're a Christian, you believe that, oh, I love my wife and I'm going to live with her forever and ever and our love is everlasting, it's not. That's just not something that. So for all these people who think that love is forever, between a man and a woman, it's just not. So there's a lot of angles that I could talk about it from. There's a lot of directions that I could go with that. And I will just say that this life is temporary, right? So for me, I definitely have a big problem with hypergamy, and I have a big problem with female nature. But at the same time, I have to look at it realistically and say, well, it's not going to last. It's not going to be forever. And the fruits of unrighteousness are evident. Divorce is unrighteous. Even Moses or Jesus said that divorce was unrighteous in the Gospels. If you really understand the Bible, you know what I'm talking about. God didn't want people to ever divorce. Divorce was something that was not part of God's plan. He wanted people to be, he wanted man and woman to marry and be together forever. But because people are fucked up, because they can't not cheat, because they get bored of, and they fall out of love, or they have no loyalty, or their hearts are evil, whatever reason, they want to get divorced. And divorce is like insane now, the statistics of it, right? So like I said, I've only got about a minute and a half left, but I can't even begin to touch how big of a subject this is. Like how Satan uses women to ruin the nuclear family, and it's to get men out of marriage, it's to get men out of the leadership roles. And the reason why that is because men in general are representatives of God. We are the hierarchical standard of the Bible is God first, then the man, then the woman, and then the kids. And the idea of families, particularly the nuclear family like that, is very sacred in God's eyes. Actually, marriage is a sacred institution as far as God is concerned. And it's a God instituted institution, or it's a God inspired institution, right? So this idea of polyamory and all this pagan, loose sexuality and stuff, that's an abomination to God, right? But you have feminism, which is a tool of the enemy, of God's enemy. It is a tool of Satan to get people off, to dethrone that sacred institution, to put women ahead of men, and to remove the importance of men in a relationship, in a family relationship. Okay? That's just to scratch the surface of how evil today is and how Satan uses women. Of course, we can always go back to the old Eve example, the old Eve tempting. Satan went to Eve first. He didn't go to Adam, and that principle runs out throughout the whole entire Bible, and it's played out today. Satan goes to the women. He's used feminism to hurt a lot of women, hurt a lot of families, hurt a lot of people. And the aim isn't to necessarily ruin the women directly, but to get to the man indirectly.